All right, welcome in. We'll give everybody just a second to tune on and get going here. Let's see here. Facebook's switched up a little bit. It's been a long time since I have been on Facebook Live. My phone is blowing up with all sorts of stuff and so forth and so on. But anyway, I wanted to come to you live here. I'm trying to see. Let's see if I can get it pulled up here on my tablet, just so I can get a see of who's here and all that kind of stuff. Go ahead and like and share the video. Maybe you want to hear and wait and see what I have to say first. Let's see here. Let's turn that down a little bit. You may want to wait and hear what I have to say because you may not agree with what I'm going to say, or you may, whatever. But I wanted to come and do a live video with you to kind of give you an update. For the past couple of days, I have had we're set up in my living room right now. I've got the kitchen table in the living room. We've got some people on laptops and phones and iPads and stuff. We've got a small team that has been working for the past couple of days in our spare time, which was kind of taking up a lot of time, on going through and combing through information, combing through social media, combing through different websites, trying to get as much information as we can. So far, I have really only made one post saying what is going on, and so far, everything that I have put on social media has been confirmed. There's nothing that has not been confirmed, okay? There's been a lot of rumors going on. We know for sure that the Pope was not arrested, all right? The Pope was not arrested. There was not some kind of, raid on the Vatican. There was some kind of blackout at the Vatican. The lights were definitely darker than usual. I mean, it looked pitch black there at the Vatican the other night. We saw it live. So that is confirmed. I'm going to go through. I put a post on just yesterday, and I'm just going to kind of go through what we know. 7,000 troops are for sure on the ground in Washington, D.C. We actually got confirmation of that today, that 15,000 are planning on being in the Capitol well before the inauguration. So it was 7,000. It is now 15,000. These are National Guard. As far as we know, the report's coming in that it's National Guard, but there is talk that they probably will be allowed to carry lethal weapons. Now, if you know anything about that, it's very uncommon that the National Guard is going to be carrying lethal weapons and all that kind of stuff. They're coming in, they do to an extent, but there's a big debate right now on whether or not they should be allowed to have lethal weapons in the Capitol, especially considering what happened just last week with the, quote-unquote raid on the Capitol. All right, but we know that there's 7,000 there right now. Video evidence, it's there, confirmed. News outlets are reporting on it. And also, 15,000 are going to be there by the end, or by the inauguration for sure. Probably going to be there within this week, okay? We do know, Reuters.com reported that Nancy Pelosi's laptop was stolen during the Capitol raid. That's all we know about that. There is some video evidence. There are some reports that show some men who were making a run for it, okay? They looked like Antifa, and they clearly in the video said, we're not Antifa. But there was a report that one of Nancy Pelosi's staffers said that her laptop was stolen. This would seem to indicate, now this is not confirmed, this is Andrew Sluder opinion, okay? But this would seem to be the reason why the very next day after the Capitol, so you know what happened, people stormed the Capitol. They had to stop the certification of the Electoral College, and they were going to give it to Joe Biden, and they did give it to Joe Biden, but they had to stop because the Capitol was stormed. The very next day, Nancy Pelosi goes nuts, saying that she wants the 25th Amendment put on Trump, and that they need to do the 25th Amendment or they're going to impeach him. We're going to get to that in just a second because they did put in articles of impeachment today. All right, but her laptop was stolen, supposedly by special forces that were in the raid, okay? There are massive generators in Washington, D.C. right now, massive generators on the Washington Mall. This could be because of the inauguration. Some people have pointed out that the inauguration was supposed to be, virtual. It wasn't supposed to be, some kind of big, to do. So there's, speculation on why exactly there's generators there, but the generators very well could be because of the of the inauguration. But there's also tales of blackouts. I mean, all over social media, there's blackouts. Of course, the Vatican supposedly blacked out. Pakistan, that is confirmed. Pakistan had major national outages. So we're not sure, but there are confirmed massive generators on the White House, on the Washington Mall. Also, this one, Parler. They said Parler was going to go off. Parler did go off. You cannot get it. It's Amazon kicked it off its servers. Potentially that app is done. That website done. No more. They're trying to get on some different things. I just saw today where they've sued Amazon, but even then, they said that their lawyers have abandoned them, and the probability of Parler ever coming back is pretty slim. And that's a huge, huge problem because Twitter, Facebook, all these places have banned conservatives. Folks, I'm telling you, they're trying to eliminate the communication between conservatives right now. It's scary. These big tech guys, they kicked Ron Paul off of Facebook today. So it's scary. Now, moving forward into today. Today has been filled. I'm going to be referring to some of my team here a little bit. Today has been a crazy day. It started out today. Now, we have combed through a lot of information today, But just today, we first and foremost, Pompeo, Mike Pompeo's Twitter has been the fuel of conspiracy theories. He was posting every 30 minutes, and they said, once it gets down to 15 minutes and then 5 minutes, it's got some kind of countdown. There's just no evidence of that at all. He does post every 30 minutes, pretty much at the bottom and top of each hour, but that's a scheduled thing, and also it is, he's been doing that for quite a while. So there's nothing unusual besides just the fact that he's been doing it for a while. But we did get a report this morning about a executive order. Now, this is very interesting. You can go to whitehouse.gov, and I can show you this on my phone if that's awfully bright there. I don't know if you guys will be able to even see that. There it is. You can kind of make it out a little bit there. Maybe I can. Anyway, I don't know if you can see that or not. But you can go to whitehouse.gov. This was an executive order addressing the threat from securities investments that finance communist China military companies. This was put out, watch this, on November the 12th of 2020. This executive order was put out November, so this is after the election. Trump makes this executive order. This was not in the news. I didn't hear anything about this. Nobody I've talked to has heard anything about this. So here's what it is. It says this: I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the People's Republic of China is increasingly exploiting United States capital to resource and to enable the development and modernization of its military, intelligence, and other security apparatuses, which continues to allow the PRC to directly threaten the United States homeland and United States forces overseas, including by developing and deploying weapons of mass destruction, advanced conventional weapons, and malicious cyber-enabled actions against the United States and its people. I'll save you some of the other stuff here, and we'll skip down because you say, well, why is that important? Here's why it's important. Stay with me right here. That was signed, the executive order was signed and put out on November the 12th of 2020. Here's where, and all that about the weaponization of its military and weapons of mass destruction that possibly could be used against the United States. This is all in the executive order, folks. Here's where it gets interesting. Accordingly, I hereby order, Section 1, the following actions are prohibited, beginning 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January the 11th, 2021. That is today. An executive order comes out after the election that Trump supposedly lost. This executive order went into effect today. Here's why it's important. Listen to what it says. Any transaction in publicly traded securities or any securities that are derivative of or are designed to provide investment exposure to such securities of any communist Chinese military company as defined in Section 4 of this order by any United States person and beginning 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the date that is 60 days after a person is determined to be a communist Chinese military company pursuant to Section 4A, so forth and so on. And I'll save you the rest of the of the jargon here. But this was put out and it went into effect today. Now, that's what we know. Speculations are going to run wild. But Trump makes this statement about the Chinese Communist Party and its military. And there's an executive order that went out saying that these actions, any type of financial actions and all that kind of stuff, that it is strictly prohibited now. Okay, now we're moving along here. You say, what does all this mean? Well, I'm just going to give you the information and then we're going, and you can make your own assumptions, okay? Now we have Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, that went on today. Cell phone popping up with a video here. I thought I was clicking on a different link. He went on today on the Voice of America and made a speech. Now, everybody was blowing this speech up. All right, his Twitter account, like I said, has been conspiracy theorist central. But he did go on today, Voice of America, and he made a speech that seemingly was pretty mild in its delivery and its content. But in that speech, you can go back and look on it. It's on George's News on YouTube. Just type in George's News or Pompeo speech, Voice of America. He blasts China. I'm talking about blast China. In fact, the previous 6 tweets before he went on that speech, the 6 tweets that he made right before that, of course, it was on the bottom and top of each hour, so over the period of about 3.5 hours, every single one of them were against China. He goes on there, lamblasts China in his speech. Lamblasts them. This is right after this executive order goes into effect. Then, they're on the Secretary of State website. Okay, on if you go to state.gov, it showed today that Donald Trump, if you went to the Donald Trump biography, you can look this up on the news. If you went today to the Donald Trump biography on the state website, state.gov, it showed Donald Trump and Mike Pence's terms ending today. Now, the reports came out right after that, because we were on there. I was on there when we were looking this up, and I refreshed the page, and then the website went completely down. This is confirmed. I've got the screenshots of it. It says, we're sorry, this website is current. You can't see that because it's just, man, I wish you guys could see that. Maybe if I can try to turn the brightness down or something, that may help there. Yeah, that helps actually. All right, this is state.gov. This is the screenshot of it. The website went down. We are sorry, this site is currently experiencing technical difficulties. Comes back up. The report came out that it was some kind of disgruntled worker and it was just a prank and all that kind of stuff. Could be. But I thought that was very interesting that right after Pompeo's speech and all this talk, and it said that the terms were ending, somebody catches it, they fix it, all that kind of stuff. Why would it be a prank? Somebody's getting on to the website of the state.gov, a government website, and they're tampering with stuff like that. What's going on? So, that happens. Then there are all these reports that start flooding in. They get that fixed. The reports of the 15,000 troops come in. And then there's all this other information that we're coming through. Again, I'm only giving you what is confirmed. I'm only giving you what is confirmed. We're not giving any false information out there. We have websites and screenshots and verification from credible news sources and all that kind of stuff that this stuff is true. Okay, so we're not giving you any misinformation. Now, news reports came out now that there are planned protests in every armed protests that are planned in all 50 states from January 16th through at least January 20th. That was on the local news here. Also, there was an armed protest right outside the offices of Andy, how do you say his name? Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky. Armed protests right outside of Andy Beshear's, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the governor of Kentucky, right outside his window, right outside his office there. Now, let's just put some perspective on it. You've got about 100 armed citizens showing up at a governor's office. Now, I'm not saying right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. I'm just saying if I was the governor of Kentucky, if I was Governor Andy, I'm going to freak out about that. I'm going to freak out. That's going to be some cause for concern if I'm in his position. Now, we're not talking about constitution, is it their constitutional right? Sure. Is it, I agree with all that. Constitutional right to carry and bear arms, I'm in agreement with all that. I'm not saying what those people did are wrong at all, okay, at all. I'm just saying from the governor's perspective, yeah, that's, what's going on, especially after the events of last week. So our government is on high alert right now. 15,000 troops. I looked this up. I got confirmation of this. I looked this up. There were 20,000 troops that were landed in Iraq, or Afghanistan. Man, I cannot remember if it was Afghanistan or Iraq. I'm blanking out now. Afghanistan or Iraq, when we were trying to establish dominance on the ground. That was 20,000 troops for that. As opposed, and now we got 15,000 in the District of Columbia for security purposes of an inauguration that's not even going to have a lot of people there. Most of it's going to be virtual anyway. You're kidding me, man. You are kidding me. I'm not buying that. Something is happening. I'm not saying what, I'm just saying something. Now, we move along here. Stay with me. There's now reports coming out that the Department of Defense says that they will review troops deployed to Biden inauguration to ensure they don't have sympathies to domestic terrorists, meaning the U.S. government is now trying to prevent any type of military coup. There are talks of a military coup going on in our nation. They're trying to make sure that all these troops aren't going to defect. The plot thickens. Stay with me, man. Stay with me, because the bombshell's coming at the end. I know there's all this different talks about the Insurrection Act being signed. Listen, there's no evidence of the Insurrection Act being signed. Trust me, we have searched and searched and searched. We have looked for evidence of that. There's just no evidence. There's some big name people that are talking about it, but there's no evidence out there. We don't know if Trump is in, we don't know if Trump is in Texas. Reports came out he was at Camp David. We don't really, you have to be careful. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I'm not interested in spreading misinformation. All right? But here's what we do know. We do know that just today, hang on, let me find it really quick here. There it is. Just today, that Mike Pompeo, Jake, slow down there. You're good. Just slow down there a little bit there. Just today, that Mike Pompeo released a statement. Boy, this is a bombshell. U.S. Department of State right here. You can see it. Oh, man. Hang on. I got to turn my brightness down. Here we go. Here it is. Huh? Is it easier to read on this one? All right. No, I want to read the actual executive order. Or I mean the actual statement. Is this the actual statement? All right. Oh, yeah. You're right. All right, here it is. This is from Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State. You ready? Today, the United States is imposing sanctions on 7 individuals and 4 entities that are part of a Russian-linked foreign influence network associated with, I'm going to butcher these names, Andriy Derkach, Derkach, who was designated on September the 10th, 2020, pursuant to Executive Order EO 13848 for his attempt to influence the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Derkach, a member of the Ukrainian parliament, has been an active Russian agent for more than a decade, maintaining close connections with Russian intelligence services. Former Ukraine government officials, Konstantin Kulyk, Kulyk, Oleksandr Onshenko, I'm butchering these names, folks. All right, I'm butchering the names. Andrei Telzhenko, and current member of the Ukrainian parliament, Oleksandr Dubinsky, have publicly appeared with or affiliated themselves with Derkach through the coordinated dissemination and promotion, watch this, of fraudulent or unsubstantiated allegations involving a U.S. political candidate. Exactly what the left and the Democrats accused Trump of doing in 2016 that no evidence ever came of. It's exactly what was going on with Russia. The Russia connection right here. Pompeo is blowing the lid off of it with this statement that came out today. Okay? They have made repeated public statements advancing malicious narratives that U.S. government officials have engaged in corrupt dealings in Ukraine. These efforts and narratives are consistent with or in support of Derkach's objectives to influence the 2020 U.S. presidential election. As such, these individuals have been designated pursuant to EO 1384-8 for having directly or indirectly engaged in, sponsored, concealed, or otherwise been complicit in foreign influence in an attempt to undermine the 2020 U.S. elections. This isn't conspiracy. This isn't like, some kind of random Facebook video circulating around. This is directly from Michael Pompeo. Stay with us, folks, because it just gets better. It just gets better. Again, I'm not saying what's going to happen. I'm not saying that Trump is in some kind of bunker and signed the Insurrection Act and, the Pope's been arrested and there's blackouts all over. I'm not saying that. I don't know if there's going to be blackouts. I've heard repeated reports that there's going to be blackouts, the communication systems are going down, that, that Trump's going to be using the emergency broadcasting systems, don't update your iPhones. Now, I do think it's probably a good idea to don't update your iPhone. Disable all your updates. You can go and find out how to do that online there. I had to have somebody show me how to do it, to be honest with you. But it's probably a good idea not to do that. I do know that Parler removed, if you didn't prevent the Parler app from being removed from your iPhone, even before Parler went down, see, I made it to where they couldn't remove it. Before Parler even went down, I know for a fact confirmed people that the Apple removed Parler from the iPhone. So this is not disinformation. Misinformation, excuse me. This is verified stuff. But all that stuff about the Insurrection Act and Trump's in a bunker and there's going to be blackouts and the emergency broadcasting system, I don't know. I can tell you this, I've heard it from people that I believe are 100% credible, that I would believe anything that came out of their mouth, that kind of resources, that stuff is true. But there's nothing that I can confirm. So I don't know. As of right now, I'm treating it like maybe it's going to happen, but I have no idea of knowing if it's true or not. But what I'm about to read you now is absolutely 100% true. And this is the last thing. Now listen, there's probably been 100 million things or pieces of information that have flown out since we started setting up for the broadcast around 8 o'clock, and now we've not really been looking since 8. There's probably all sorts of stuff that's been out there. But today, January 11th, 2021, we just got this. We just saw this just a little bit ago. This is, look here. Hang on, let me turn the brightness down again. My goodness. I wish we could have set it up to where we could have it. President Donald J. Trump approves District of Columbia emergency declaration. January 11th, 2021. Today, President Donald J. Trump, this is whitehouse.gov, declared that an emergency exists in the District of Columbia and ordered federal assistance to supplement the district's response efforts due to the emergency conditions resulting from the 59th presidential inauguration from January 11th to January 24th, 2021. Here's what's interesting. Number one, I do think it's interesting the terminology that Trump has been very careful not to say a Biden inauguration or a Biden administration. He's simply saying a new administration. That could mean a lot. You got to be careful about reading into stuff. But I do think it's interesting that he hasn't conceded. All he says there's going to be a smooth transition to a new administration. I do admit that the wording is interesting. Okay, now. And also what's interesting is the state of emergency is happening from today all the way to the 24th. We're looking at almost 2 weeks of a nationally declared emergency by our president surrounding the 59th presidential inauguration, This is what he said, continuing on. The president's action authorizes the Department of Homeland Security, Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to coordinate all disaster relief efforts which have the purpose of alleviating the hardship and suffering caused by the emergency on the local population. Here's my question. This is where it gets just super weird for me. I'm not going to say anything. I have some thoughts, but I want to be careful because I don't want to get disinformation out there or misinformation. I don't know why I keep saying disinformation. Misinformation. What kind of hardship and suffering has been going on and is going to be going on between now and the 24th in Washington, D.C.? This is what I'm not understanding. Why is FEMA being called to alleviate the hardships and the suffering caused by the emergency on the local population? Here's what it says, and to provide appropriate assistance for required emergency measures authorized under Title V of the Stafford Act to save lives and to protect property and public health and safety to lessen or avert the threat of a catastrophe in the District of Columbia. Somebody help me understand here. To save lives and to protect property and public health and to lessen or avert the threat of a catastrophe in the District of Columbia. 15,000 troops on the ground. And, oh, by the way, we forgot to mention this, Johnny. Just yesterday, if you looked at the fly zone around the Washington, and I know it's no fly zone over the Capitol and all that kind of stuff, but I'm talking about a large parameter around Washington, D.C. It was completely clear. There were very few flights, if any, happening for a period of time yesterday, and they said it was because of some kind of COVID. I have it from a good source that they said no, that they don't shut down like that over somebody testing positive for COVID. Huh? Yeah, airspace. It's anyway. We know that there was some weird stuff going on in the airspace. Reports of helicopters. I saw videos of helicopters and all sorts of stuff. But it's 15,000 troops on the ground in Washington, D.C. You're talking about the District Columbia. This is a small territory, folks. This is a small area, and 15,000 troops trying to avert the threat of a catastrophe. What catastrophe are we talking about? If you think last week was a catastrophe, please. Them going in the Capitol and smashing out some windows, and I understand people died, and it's terrible. It's awful. I hate it. It shouldn't have happened. People dying like that. But at the same time, if you think that was a catastrophe, I mean, you've not seen anything yet. All right, let's continue on. I'm almost done here. We've got a large amount of viewers. We hit 215 just a second ago. It's the most live viewers I've ever had on a Facebook Live video. Share this. Guys, everything I'm giving you out, this is not conspiracy theory. We could have gotten into conspiracy theory tonight, and we didn't. I could have gotten into conspiracy theory. Everything I've given you has been absolutely confirmed stuff that we have seen for ourselves. All right? Now, specifically, we're continuing on here in the article, or excuse me, on the declaration of emergency. Specifically, FEMA is authorized to identify, mobilize, and provide at its discretion equipment and resources necessary to alleviate the impacts of the emergency. Emergency protective measures limited to direct federal assistance will be provided at 100% federal funding. Whatever it needs to happen, the federal government is writing a big fat check for it. And that's basically all of the executive order there. There's just a few more paragraphs that doesn't really have much information in it. So, folks, you say, what does all this mean? I'm not going to make any type of speculation or guess or anything like that. I'm not gonna try to, put out there and say, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's weird stuff going on. My inbox is flooding right now with all sorts of stuff, and we're going to comb through it. We may do this again either maybe later on tonight or even tomorrow, probably tomorrow. I don't know. But all this information is just flooding through. I will say this. I don't want to say too much. I've heard it from two good sources. Nothing confirmed. Again, nothing confirmed, but I've heard it from two good sources. Jake, you're typing like a madman over there. He's in the zone. He's going on at it. All right, just type very softly. I have it from two good sources that some of the conspiracy stuff floating around is true. I'm not going to say what exactly, but I have it from two very, very good sources that I trust who have some inside stuff in Washington that some of this stuff is true, but I don't know. But what we do know is that Washington, D.C. is preparing for some kind of event between now and the inauguration, or even on the day of the inauguration. We forgot the biggest thing. We forgot the articles of impeachment. That was, the second biggest thing. Hang on, everybody stay with us. We're gearing right back up again. All right? See, Johnny just asked me about another piece of information that we have that I'm just not sure of. I think it's right, but I don't know. I think it's confirmed, but I just don't know, so I'm not going to say it. All right, here we go. You ready? Today, the Democrats did put out articles of impeachment. They want Trump out of there before his term is over. Why? You tell me why. You've got, basically now, we're not even going to count today now, you've got a guy in 8 days he's leaving, but you want to invoke the 25th Amendment. You want to impeach him. Well, it's because they don't want him to run again. I think it's far worse than that. Nancy Pelosi's laptop stolen, supposedly 15 other laptops stolen during that raid on the White House, on the Capitol building. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. She has been, just pitching a fit about the impeachment. They put in the articles today. Guess who wasn't there? Nancy Pelosi was not there. She had somebody standing in for her. You can go on Fox News and see it. She had somebody standing in for her today in Congress. You tell me why Nancy Pelosi did not want to be there or could not be there while they're putting in these articles of impeachment. It doesn't make it. The Sergeant of Arms resigned today. They put in a new Sergeant of Arms. He was voted in. It doesn't make any stinking sense. WikiLeaks put out a bunch of stuff today. WikiLeaks released Hillary emails. They released, help me out, Johnny, what else was on there? Hunter Biden stuff. WikiLeaks has released a whole bunch. You can go look at that. That's all over the place, too. I didn't even mention that. I've not even put that out there. WikiLeaks released a bunch of stuff. So all I'm saying is there's some weird stuff. And, guys, remember, the packaging around all of this is big tech is shutting people down for talking. They don't want people talking right now. Twitter, Facebook. They even banned Trump off Spotify. Instagram. They banned Trump's Instagram. Big tech doesn't want people talking right now. There's a reason for that. They don't want the people to be able to readily communicate and get information out quick. So, all that to say this, I think, not prophesying, I'm not a prophet, okay? But I think there's some weird and crazy stuff that's about to happen. I don't know what, but I think it's going to get crazy here soon. There's too much going on. There's too much talk. There's too much smoke not to be some fire. And I think we're going to start seeing that. So, folks, like I said, Everything I've said, look it up. Go out and confirm it. Look it up on the internet. And I know not everything on the internet is true, don't get me wrong. But we have been through some major processes to get this stuff confirmed and to get stuff out there that is confirmed, and everything I've said is out there, and it's viable information. So stay tuned, stay prayed up. If you're not if you're not right with the Lord, you need to get right with the Lord. Get saved. Jesus Christ died on the cross, paid for your sins, and rose again from the dead. And all you got to do is call upon Him, put your faith and trust in Him, and He'll save you. You say, oh, man, you ruined this whole thing with that. No. I just made this thing 1,000 times better with that, because that's the only thing that'll help you in these trying times is Jesus Christ and getting in that Bible and getting solidified. For the Bible believer, none of this stuff should be surprising, okay? So anyway, I will leave you with that, folks. I'm praying for you. Pray for me. We've got a lot more work to do in the coming days. And whether here or in the air, God bless you is our prayer.